Welcome, dear friends, to the Taviren, a Wheel of Time podcast hosted by three gentlemen for whom the very wheel itself bends around. Without further ado, here are your hosts, Bill, Rob, and Rich.
Hey everyone, welcome back. You've come upon the Taviren, a Wheel of Time podcast. This time we are not running solo. This is Rob, and I am with
Rich.
Richard. How's it going?
I am fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I wish the world was in a better place as it was. Yes, as I mentioned in the last podcast. If you were listening to this into the future, we are recording this in March of 2020, which will probably go down in infamy as the month of the coronavirus. So,
Yes.
how's everything? How's everything in your world?
Going good. We haven't locked down here in the Midwest. Just slowly, counties have been locking down, stay-at-home orders.
Yep.
I'm considered essential, so I have to work, which is
You're
fine.
a key cog.
Yep, I am. I don't mind that. I like to make sure everybody's taken care of, and it's definitely a new world we're in. A lot of uncertainty, a lot of people not knowing what's happening, a lot of unemployment, and businesses closing and restaurants closing. I'm hoping when people hear this episode, it's all calmed down.
It's all calmed down. Yeah. And you're like, oh, do you remember back then when we'd had to do this and that and this and that?
Yeah. If not, it's just going to be one of those of holy crap. 2020 sucked.
I think it's Brian Seacrest posted something like, hey, can we just skip forward to the ball drop?
Yeah, I think we should do that. That should be fine. Let's just get on out of here.
Yeah, I know. Every time I'm on the East Coast, I'm just south of Philly. Everything is holding court here. States are trying to do the shutdown and close down thing. My kids are off school for at least another 6 weeks.
Ugh.
It's real fun having to explain to your children, even though you're not at school, you need to go online and still do schoolwork.
Yeah.
This isn't spring break, children.
Still got to do stuff.
Still got to do stuff. That's the hardest thing. People still got to do stuff.
Yep. Just part of it.
And practicing their social distancing.
Yes. Oh, there's a new thing they're trying to do. Instead of calling it social distancing, I think they're trying to call it something. I can't remember exactly what it's called now.
Something more bougie.
Yeah. Or more like, I don't know what it is. They're trying to make sure it doesn't have a negative connotation of people that are like, having social anxieties and need the contact.
It's not a negative thing. It's a smart thing.
Yeah, I get it. But here's the thing. Like they say, oh, some people can't do it. And the gaming community is like, we've been doing that for years.
Yeah, you just stole my thunder. I was going to say that. I was like, Bill, you and I all come from a gaming background. We've been social distancing for decades.
Yeah. The downside is I can't work out.
I know. Well, I mean, you don't have a setup at home?
No, I don't. I really want one, but I don't. This is the thing. My brother was thinking about getting one, and he was looking at weights and stuff, and they come like a 340-pound set, and the next one up is 500. He's like, you couldn't do that. I'm like, no, I can't. I would need the big ones. So
I don't think I've lifted 500 pounds yet in my life.
I am close to squatting 400 pounds. So
that is truly, truly impressive.
Jamaican
land nods to you with respect.
Yes, but it hurts though. Let me tell you, it's painful.
I feel the burn.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm sad. I don't get to keep up with my routines and everything, but it's for the good.
Yeah, everybody in one way or another is affected. My oldest son is a senior, and odds are he's not going to get to walk down for his diploma.
Yeah, that's the hard part for some of those kids that are graduating high school and college. They're looking forward to those things, and they can't do it. So
I remember when he was in kindergarten, and he was they did class of 2020, and it was like, oh, that's cool. My son's going to be class of 2020. Now it takes on a whole nother connotation.
Yeah, you're like, oh crap.
Anyway, we have much better and brighter things to talk about.
Yes,
like the Blight.
Yes. Well, I would say it's
awesome. Very apropos
yes.
that we're going to talk about a chapter known as the Blight in these days and in this day and age. But
I think that's where we're in right now. But
yes. Normally we go into our iTunes reviews. We don't have any new iTunes reviews as of right now. which is fine. We had gotten that one email that I had read a while ago. You can email us at todderandpod@gmail.com or use Apple Podcast review mechanism, or you can tweet or hit Discord and we can take all the criticism. Did Bill tell you his another one of Bill's brilliant ideas regarding podcasts that do not have a review?
What? No.
He wants to institute a punishment song.
I'm gonna have to talk to him about that.
Well, it's interesting. The song that I'm not giving away the name on the podcast yet, but he's asked me to sing a parody of a certain song. He sent me the remade lyrics, and I'm like, whoa.
Is it? Please tell me it is to the tune of "No Scrubs" by TLC.
You are a cruel man, but no, it is not.
Damn.
That would be no. But I'm thinking about it, and if I do this might be something we might have to unleash once we get into the second book.
Okay.
Because I'm not ready to go that genre yet. It's interesting that Bill is. I'm like, I'm all thinking about harmony and peace, and Bill's like, we should punish them.
Yeah, punish the wicked. I mean, our listeners.
I know. Bad listeners didn't review. There's another podcast that we do listen to that used to institute a no podcast review song. And they covered was it a Metallica song or was a
I think so. No, it wasn't a Metallica. I think it was actually a Hell.
It was Hell.
No.
Yeah, Mustaine. No, Megadeth.
Megadeth. Yeah, that's what it was. Until it's like, oh my God, I know this word.
And the funny thing about that is instead of just parodying a part of it, they parodied like a whole 6-minute song. And as soon as the song starts with the slow drum beat, you're like, oh no. And it actually served a good purpose to make you go review the podcast so you didn't have to hear that again. Nope. So Bill's thought is if I sing quote unquote bad enough to get the populace moving and hitting those keystrokes and sending us all these kind of reviews.
Yeah.
But I'd rather lead with the carrot in front instead of the stick from behind. So you want to do it because you're a good person and you want good things to happen in the world.
Sure. Do that.
Don't listen to Bill. Don't make Bill right.
God, no.
So, Wheel of Time news. Now, I'm going to reiterate probably exactly verbatim what I said last week. There is no production on any show, any network, and any part at this time. Everything probably just about worldwide is being postponed until further notice, until more information and more positive news regarding coronavirus is out there.
Yep.
So that directly affects Prague and the production of Wheel of Time.
Damn.
I know. The news is that there is no news.
Yep.
Go with that.
Oh, well.
All right. Yeah, I know.
Well,
I'd love to give more, but go ahead.
Well, and they also, I just heard Marvel's has stopped phase 4 of things. It's just everything has been stopped.
Everything's in a holding pattern.
Yep.
And it's funny because it's hard. I'm explaining it to my younger son. I'm like, the whole world is in a holding pattern. And he's asking me like, hey, are we still doing this thing that we planned in June? Or are we doing this thing that we planned this fall? And I'm like, son, everything in the world is up in the air right now. But yeah, it is what it is. And looking at my notes now, it says here from Bill, it says, now I have to, I love the way that he just says, and a word from our sponsors. So that's you, Rich.
I have a sponsor? Go.
Hello, my name's Bill. I'm here in the UK doing UK things, not being eaten by giant people.
And I'm Tyler in the US, also not being eaten by giant people. And we host The Coordinate, an Attack on Titan podcast, where we...
Hold on a second, Tyler. Hold on. There's some weird noises going on outside the door. Let me just go check it out quickly. It's Twitter Troy Titan. My leg. He's eating my leg.
Bill?
No. Oh, it's gone. He's eating my bloody leg, Tyler. poison from my leg.
Anyways, we're a monthly podcast where we read an arc of the manga a month, try to get Bill caught up. Bill, you want to tell them where they can find us?
What do you want?
Where can people listen to the podcast?
I don't have a clue. Oh, he's gonna eat me! He's gonna eat me! Why are there so many cats in here? Oh, God, I hope
Can I get a new co-host?
So this week, Rich, we are up to chapter 48. We are 90% done this book.
Yeah.
I know. We are heading to the final climactic showdown of book 1. The company has just left Faldara. The way that the chapter ended last week, Lord Agelmar was pleading with Moraine, saying, you just can't go out with Lan. Lan, is a god, so we're good with Lan. But these 3, farm boys, let me give you like a whole platoon of the best soldiers of the Borderlands and get you to where you need to go. And Moraine was like, no, just me, Lan, and these guys. And that's it. We don't want to draw attention. We don't want to pull forces from the Borderlands and weaken the line of defense up there. And the start of chapter 48 is more of a continuation of that. I guess I forget his rank, but Ingtar is one of the people that we first met. So Ingtar was leading a group of 100 of Agelmar's Lancers. He was accompanying the party up through what was previously known as Malkir. They went through the border marked by watchtowers dotting the borders east and west. So there's watchtowers like the line of defense. They can see like down east and downward west, just dotted watchtowers. And that was meaning that they were going to be crossing out of Faldara and into, like I said, what is known as Malkir, but as we learned last chapter, is now part of the Blight after the tragedy befalling Lan's family.
Yep. And in their battle going on in Tarwin's Gap?
There are troops being sent off to Tarwin's Gap. That's another part of Agelmar's forces was headed that way. Ingtar was honestly, sincerely upset that his company may miss fighting altogether.
Yeah.
He was following his commander's order, take 100 Lancers, follow Moraine, Lan, and their group up to the border and not a step farther. And then come back to meet them in Tarwin's Gap once they've done that. And Ingtar is lamenting the fact that because he had to go with them and not go with them into battle, but then have to double back to Tarwin's Gap, he is legitimately upset that his team may not find any battle. Some people go into war feet first and, the glory of the battle and all that. And there's some people that are like, fight only if I must. Ingtar and Borderland people are kind of caught in the middle gray area where they know the honor of fighting and they know it's not all for glory, but they look forward to defending their lands and fighting the forces of evil.
Mm-hmm.
He was also little ass bit that he's not going to get to fight alongside Lan. That was another thing that would have, like, him and his group would have fought insanely top flight if they had Lan by their side. So he knows, I'm here with the man himself, but I just got to drop him off and turn around. God, this sucks. He's really sincerely offended that he's not going to see battle. And it's one way that you can look at, see how Borderlands people see, how can I word this? Life in Emmonsfield and South, the country south, is a little different than up in the Borderlands. And the way Ingtar is about battle is one way to see how they are so different.
Yeah. I think they had a lot of Ingtar and his group. They all want to fight beside Lan. They really wanted Lan to go to Tarwin's Gap because they could probably crush the force that's going there, but they know that he's got a different purpose and a different plan.
Yep.
And he's like, okay, I get that. Just like you said, it sucks.
It sucks. Yeah, well, I think Lan explained, we want the same things, but I've decided to go about it a different way and follow Moraine with her path as opposed to trying to bring Malkir back to glory.
Correct.
So
it's not about Malkir, it's more about the whole world.
Yes, exactly. So Rand thinks back to earlier in the day. He has a little flashback when Agelmar and his host left Faldara. As we mentioned, they were heading into Tarwin's Gap. So the brunt of the company went with Agelmar out to Tarwin's Gap. Also leaving the city was a procession of refugees making their way to the country of Falmoran. This was more like we're sending the bulk of our military, all non-essential personnel, the women and the children and the elderly. You guys might want to hoof it down a little bit south to Falmoran. It may not be safe here. That's a little flashback, kind of a storytelling mechanism that Jordan uses to be able to tell us at the same time Ingtar and these guys are headed towards Malkir, while Agelmar and his group was headed to Tarwin's Gap.
Mm-hmm.
So my next note says, as they make their way north, the temperature begins to rise. As we've been experiencing through explanations, is that winter has been kind of holding on a little too much than expected. So it was always very cold. As they make their way north, they start to realize that the temperature begins to rise. However, and I think Rand even said it, the warmth had a wrongness to it. It was a humid heat. It was damp. And it reminded Rand of an area called the Mire. There's a swamp area in the southeastern stretches of the two rivers. You hate to say it, it's not the heat, it's the humidity. But that's exactly what we can do. That's exactly what this is.
Yeah. That should be. I mean, they know it's happening. Like, everything is warm up there. That's because everything's dying.
Yes.
It's all corrupted.
That's what happens when you're in a place called the Blight.
That's right. It's warm and sticky.
As they're making their way, there's a specific path. So as they were making their way through the Blight Ridge, I guess there was a specific path that they had to follow. And you were not to deviate from this path at all.
As in life.
Yeah. Straight ahead, you're fine. To the left of you is death, and to the right of you is more death.
Yep.
So,
but with a smile.
Yeah, this one will smile as it kills you. But as they're making their way, Rand, for whatever reason, reaches out to touch a branch on a decaying tree, and like literally before he touched it, it like just went and just like evaporated into nothingness, just decay. It was more one of those things like, well, how harmless can this? Oh shit! All right, don't touch stuff. Got it. I think you got a thorough scolding from Lan. I told you not to touch anything.
It's okay though. It's not like it's gonna kill you.
All right, and here's my alienating joke that I'm going to probably upset people, but it reminded me of Australia, where 1/4 of the population creatures in Australia can kill you. Hello?
I laughed at that. Sorry, my mic went on mute.
That was awesome. No, I laughed, really.
I did, I swear to God. It was good. I mean, it's true. Australia does try to... Everything in Australia does try to kill you.
Everything kills you. But here's the best part. They're not even on the Blight yet. They're on the fringe.
Oh, yeah.
That's
true. That's
when he finds out, and Land's like, well, you need to... When we get to the Blight, you need to stop it. And Rand's like, what? We're not on the Blight yet?
No, it's just the edge of it.
Just the fringe. So as they're continuing to make their way deeper and deeper into the Blight, things go from bad to worse. I think Matt tossed his cookies once or twice.
Yep.
Rand was constantly trying to capture the flame in the void, Tam's old teachings, but nothing was working there. Egwene was doing her best not to throw up.
They did it.
I think she did too. And Nynaeve absolutely willed herself to not show any distress. She's like, as long as Moraine's not doing it, I'm not doing it either.
I would throw up everywhere just for the fun of it.
But Nynaeve is like, if that blue tramp isn't going to show any signs, then the hell if I am.
Just on the inside. Just, oh my God.
I think Jordan said Moraine was a little pale, but that was it. But the best was Loyal. He was pissed. Yeah, he was pissed.
Yeah, he didn't want to be there.
Well, he didn't want to be here, and the Ogier are all about the steadings and nature and beauty, and everything here is just death and decay. And I have here, he was just dropping F-bombs.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Well, no, he was saying "faw." I think in that one paragraph, Jordan had him say "faw" like 3 times. So that's like Ogier F-bombs.
Oh, yeah.
F-A-U-G-H.
Yep.
Faw.
He used the F word.
Yes. Everybody was struggling except for Lan, who was just as stoic as ever.
Oh, yeah.
And surprisingly, Perrin. Perrin did not show any outward disdain to all the stench and decay around him. And they go through this whole diatribe of how everybody's struggling, and yet they still have not entered the Blight. Oh, don't worry. It gets much worse from here.
Yeah. Just hang on. It'll be fine.
It's like the line from Caddyshack. I don't think the heavier stuff's coming for another hour or two.
Yep. Basically. So once they figure out like the corruption grows worse and everybody else is fine except Lan and Perrin, I'm assuming they stop for the night, right?
Well, they do. They start to make their way. They pass a valley or a ridge of mountains, a valley where they can see several little lakes and the remains of what were the Seven Towers. So as we know, Lan is the Lord of the Seven Towers. So obviously they're in what formerly was Malkir, and the lakes that were there and the remains of the Seven Towers. So they decide this is.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was saying, I'm pretty sure as they were there, they saw something come out of the water.
Yes, well that's my next thing here. They set up camp. The Moraine decides we have a good spot here for camp. The Emmonsfielders wonder if camping by the lake would be the best with all the heat. Matt's like, it should be good down by the water, and almost right on cue. An absolute monstrosity crests out of the water in one of the lakes and goes back underwater.
Loch Ness Monster.
I read that. Yeah, I read that. What do you call it?
Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah, Loch Ness Monster on steroids.
Yep.
I read this passage like 3 times to try and get a good picture of what it is. It's just like a massive centipede with human hands for tentacles or something. Like worst case scenario. Just whatever it is. Just say worst case scenario, and that would have been it.
Yep.
And you tell Matt's reactor is like, I'm fine right here, thank you.
Yep, totally good.
I'm good here. Now we get a transition into the second part of this chapter, where the first part is basically a setup of what the Blight is, and as they make their way, and basically the worst possible scenario you can ever think of. And we set up camp for the night, and we start to break off into our little groups. And the first thing that happens is, as they're setting up camp, Moraine starts to put up spells, like kind of warding spells, but she has to be careful to not pump too much magic into these spells, or she would send out a beacon, hey, we're over here. So she's putting up these kind of camouflage spells.
Yep.
And I think each of the Emmonsfield boys, Matt, Rand, and Perrin, each had an instance of going to hobble the horses or something and passing through the spell and turned around and saw like everybody disappear. And it kind of caught them all off guard. They were already on edge going through this death and decay, but finding out that everybody disappeared had brought them on edge. I think Matt knocked an arrow, Perrin pulled out his axe. Lan's like, you dumbasses, it's just a spell. It was interesting to see. That's probably a good visual effect if they could pull that off on the TV show.
Oh, yeah, that'd be pretty cool to see.
Yeah. So, and the next note I have, Egwene starts to get all starry-eyed and talks about training in the One Power while at Tar Valon. She knows that she's going with Moraine, and she's going to be trained to learn how to be an Aes Sedai. And Nynaeve just kind of side offers, I might want to tag along. It'd be good for you to have a familiar face.
Yeah.
Who knows? Because at this point, Nynaeve still hasn't really accepted that she could become an Aes Sedai. Moraine says, I see the power in you. And Nynaeve's like, you're full of it. She hasn't shared this information with Egwene. So Egwene just thinks of Nynaeve as a friend and the village elder, not as a potential fellow sister. Egwene's like, yeah, it'd be great to have you tag along. Yeah, that'd be nice to have a friendly face. More to the Egwene starry-eyed, hopeful that she is, she starts to ask Rand to be her warder when she becomes an Aes Sedai. Well, it'd be great to have you as my warder because, it's you, of course.
Yeah, it'd be fine.
And Rand is perfect. He's like, yeah, sure, whatever. I'll do it.
He's like, give me your life.
Yeah, I know. He doesn't really, they don't know all what entails being a warder or an Aes Sedai. First time readers still don't know all of what it entails. But it's funny the way he just kind of is nonchalant. He's like, yeah, sure, why not? I'm there, I'll do it. And it's like, wait a second. What did Nin say about Egwene? because that was one of the little prophecies that Min had when he first met her, was that, oh yeah, I know you guys like each other, but I don't think it's going to be the way you think it's going to be. So it's one of those things where he says, yes, I'll be your warder. Well, wait a second. What did that weird girl say? Oh boy, it's more prophesizing, I guess.
Oh yeah. Prophesize.
Yeah, prophesize. So after a few hours of sleep, and once again, since most of these chapters are in Rand's perspective, there's no way around it. Rand, once again, is eavesdropping. I think this is like the third or fourth time that he happened to stumble upon two other characters having a dialogue. Unfortunately, there's no way around it. Jordan has to do it this way. He didn't want a land-centric. We haven't had a land-centric chapter, and we've only had one Nynaeve-centered chapter. So he wasn't ready to shift perspective to them for this scene. Of course, Rand has to wake up, roll over, see these two talking, and kind of do the pretend sleeping kind of thing.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah, it happens. Rand's really not a creep like this, but it seems that way because he's always stumbling upon people talking. Of course, he sees Lan and Nynaeve talking, and he he's like, there's a scene in. I'm gonna go tangent here. There's a scene in Harry Potter. Do you watch the Harry Potter movies?
I've seen them, of course I have.
Okay, Hagrid likes the French teacher, the giant.
Yes.
So there's a scene where Hagrid combs his hair, he wears a jacket, he's got a flower, and he walks up to the teacher, and he's like, "Oh, hello, Madam Maxine. It's so good to see you." And in the background, you can see Harry kind of fake. He's like, "Oh." I could see Rand like rolling over and seeing these two and being like, "But what?"
Yeah. Holy crap!
Like, I did not see that coming. Of course, he's just a stupid wool-headed sheepherder, so what would he know?
That's right. He would not know.
Even though Nynaeve tells him, she goes, even though she sees Lan as a king, she doesn't care. She's willing to offer her heart to Lan, just the man. There's no way to put that without sounding corny, but just Lan, just the man.
I love
and
that.
Now, one thing Lan probably doesn't appreciate is being reminded of his burden.
True.
He refers to this in later books that the burden of a mountain, and she's not trying to tweak him. She's trying to tell him, I don't care about any of that other shit. I like you. I'm drawn to you. Unfortunately, Lan takes this information and he becomes sad. He desperately wants to accept Nynaeve's love. But however, he can't. He is bound by duty. And she thinks that means that he may have his heart to Moraine, which isn't how Warders and Aes Sedai always work out. But he believes all he has is a sword to offer and a war that he cannot win. More like, oh, why can't these two just see past their differences? They can't. I know. It's so sad. Lan then goes really romantic on her and says her love should go elsewhere, and he will be jealous of whoever receives her love. Lan believes he has one foot already in the grave, and he could never accept her love within those conditions. He says, I'm happy that you would have someone's love, and I would be unhappy that it wasn't me. And, I can just see her like, oh my God, that's just so heartbreaking. Love that cannot be.
Aw.
Right? I know. Aw. And I think the chapter ends with Lan walking away and Nynaeve. Rand saying he was glad that he could not see Nynaeve's face because apparently she was sobbing.
Yeah.
We will see whatever happens with that. And that is how this chapter ends. Like I said, we're just before the payoff of this book, so we're getting multiple build-up chapters. Last chapter we had basically two backstories in story of Lan and the story of Padden Fane, and then this is literally taking them to the next step in the process to the Blight and into the old Malkiri area where they're trying to find the Green Man and the Eye of the World.
Yep.
Right now it's just walking. Right now it's just walking. So they sprinkled in a little bit of backstory or a little bit of Nynaeve and Lan. How would we match those names up? Laneve?
Sure.
Nynan?
Nynan.
9An?
There we go.
There we go. So that's going to take us into this week's Readings with Rob.
Woohoo.
Woo-hoo.
And now, the Taviren present to you Readings with Rob.
Chapter 48, The Blight. Rand found sleep impossible, even with the Aes Sedai stretched out not a span away to shield his dreams. It was the thick air that kept him awake. Loyal's soft snores were a rumble that made Perrin seem non-existent, but they did not stop wariness from claiming the others. The warder was still awake, seated not far from him with his sword across his knees, watching the night. To Rand's surprise, so was Nynaeve. The wisdom looked at Lan silently for a long time, then poured a cup of tea and brought it to him. When he reached out with a murmur of thanks, she did not let go right away.
"I should have known you would be a king,"
she said quietly. Her eyes were steady on the warder's face, but her voice trembled slightly. Lan looked back at her just as intently. It seemed to Rand that the warder's face actually softened. "I am not a king, Nynaeve, just a man. A man without as much to his name as even the meanest farmer's croft." Nynaeve's voice steadied.
"Some women don't ask for land or gold, just the man."
"And the man who would ask to accept so little would not be worthy of her. You are a remarkable woman, as beautiful as the sunrise, as fierce as a warrior. You are a lioness, Wisdom."
"A wisdom seldom weds."
She paused to take a deep breath, as if steeling herself.
"But if I go to Tavalon, it may be that I will be something other than a wisdom. Aes Sedai marry as seldom as wisdoms. Few men can live with so much power in a wife, dimming them by radiance whether she wishes to or not. Some men are strong enough. I know one such."
If there could have been any doubt, her look left none as to whom she meant. "All I have is a sword, and a war I cannot win, but can never stop fighting."
"I've told you I care nothing for that. Like you've made me say more than is proper already. Will you shame me to the point of asking you?"
"I will never shame you." The gentle tone, like a caress, seemed odd to Rand's ears in the warder's voice, but it made Nynaeve's eyes brighten. "I will hate the man you choose because he is not me, and love him if he makes you smile. No woman deserves the sure knowledge of a widow's black as her bride piece, you least of all." He set the untouched cup on the ground and rose. "I must check the horses." Nynaeve remained there kneeling after he had gone. Sleep or no, Rand closed his eyes. He did not think the wisdom would like it if he watched her cry.
That was Readings with Rob. If there's a passage in an upcoming chapter you wish to have read on the podcast, simply tweet us at TavirenPod with your request.
And that was Readings with Rob. I think I'm going to unofficially say that I am going to grab, every time we have Lan and Nynaeve banter, I'm probably going to grab there.
Okay.
all in good faith, right?
Yeah, totally.
Two star-crossed lovers tonight, because Lan, he's such a smoothie, that one.
Oh yeah, definitely.
He's such a ladies man.
I agree.
All right, what do you think about this chapter? What are your thoughts?
It was fine. I mean, it's a very slow chapter. It's just them getting a good glimpse of
We're cresting that roller coaster. We're getting to the top of the roller coaster. Then when it starts to go down is when all shit gets crazy.
Exactly. I mean, we're seeing the Blight. We're seeing what they've talked about through the entire book.
Yep.
It's time.
It is time.
Yes.
Without further ado, we're going to end it here, man. Next week we have chapter 49, The Dark One Stirs.
Yeah.
The Dark One stirs his coffee.
With sugar.
With sugar and some cream. Or I'm sorry, if Bill, you're listening, stirs his tea.
Yeah, with the tears.
With a biscuit.
I would say with tears of naive, but whatever.
With the tears of with the shamed love of wisdom. All right, I could go on forever, guys. You know we have Twitter, TaviraNPod. We have email, TaviraNPod@gmail.com. We have Discord. We have YouTube.
Yes.
Rich has his own his own Twitter. It's a HailBlue1569, right?
That's right.
All right, I got the numbers right for
Yay.
once. If you feel like talking to Bill, Natunica.
And if you really want to piss him off and make him actually like you more, hashtag Paul Rudd 2020.
I wasn't going there, but you had to do it. You had to go there. All right.
Always got to do that. I'm hoping he sees that. Paul Rudd actually sees that and goes, "What the hell is that stuff?"
I know. We need to get enough Paul Rudd action to get celebrity endorsements.
That's right.
What do we got? We got YouTube, Discord, Patreon. You want to be part of the Patreon army, get special perks and bonuses and extra content. Feel free to check us out on Patreon. We have Redbubble. Bill has been very diligent in putting out information as far as Patreon and Redbubble. I think I mentioned in the last pod, Rich, that you and him are doing such good jobs of pimping us out. I need to figure out a way to increase my pimpability.
I don't know how we did that. I'm nothing to do with that stuff. I can't confirm or deny that I'm a pimp.
Oh, I can.
There you go.
Oh, I think that's going to be it, man. Hey, you stay safe and do not touch that rotting tree. Don't you touch that tree, Rick. Don't touch it.
I was going to lick it.
God knows Bill's already probably hip deep in that stuff.
Yep.
That boy's probably got poison oak 10 times in his life.
That's right.
I'm going to go eavesdrop. I'm going to go eavesdrop on Land and Nynaeve.
Me too. I'll be in the tree.
You be in that tree, you're going to be dead in an hour.
It's a risk.
Risk you're willing to take. All right. I've been creepy enough. I'm out of here, man.
See
Take
ya.
care.
Later,
Bye.
guys.
Now that our heroic trio have left the familiar confines of the two rivers, they find themselves being chased by all sorts of denizens of the Dark One. Our party has been scattered, and the boys separated from Mograine and Lan. Let us hope that luck, or some other force, can keep them safe. Bill? Billiam! Put that dagger down! You have no idea where in creation that's been. No, Rich. I don't have an extra cloak with me. Maybe if you didn't ride your horse straight into the Arenelle, you wouldn't have this problem, For crying out loud, Robert, I know that girl from Berlon said weird things to you, but you shouldn't let it get under your skin so much. What are you, 11? You all remind me of a younger version of myself. Why, back in Watch Hill, I would...
Hello, friends. This is Troidal Power, host of the Troidal Power Presents the Power Playthroughs podcast with Troidal Power, a podcast where I, your host, Troidal Power, play through games in a powerful way. And I'm inviting you to listen to Troidal Power Presents the Power Playthroughs podcast with Troidal Power, a podcast where I, your host, Troidal Power, play through games in a powerful way. You can find it and a lot of other weird shows at probablywork.com.
All right. You have a sponsor. I could have made like an AA joke in there or something, but I didn't.
It's Bill.
Yeah, God. If Bill's your sponsor, then forget about it.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
This has been a presentation
of the We Can Make This Work
Probably Network.
Follow us on Twitter
At Probably Work for more of our questionable content.
Also, we have a website called probablywork.com.